Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We're continuing in Mishnah Berura, Daf HaShavua. We're learning Siman Kufya Tes. We're at the end of Sif Daled. The Mechaber said in Sif Daled that a Shliach Tzibbur that forgotten, he didn't say Anneinu, he doesn't go back. Even if he just finished Rifa'inu. And if he does go back, after he said Rifa'inu, then it's a Brach Levatala. But he should rather say Anneinu and Shemea Tefillah like a Yachid. It says in Mishnah Berura, Sif Katan Yud Zayin. It's a bracha levatala. It's a bracha levatala. It says in Mishnah Berura, Hainu, Dal Yidei Sheyachzer Loimer Anneinu. That is, because he has to go back and say Anneinu, Yitztorich behechreach Loimer achar kach berchas Rifa'inu oidapam. If he's going to go back and say Anneinu, he'll have to go back and say Rifa'inu another time, Kedei She'ala Seder, so that the brachas should be in order. We saw yesterday that whenever you go back, even brachas you already said you have to repeat so that they're in order. Namely, Berchas Hashanim Achar Rifa'inu, to say Baruch Aleinu after Rifa'inu. V'hi Brach Levatala. And it's a brach levatala she'ein machzirin mishval Anneinu. You don't go back for Anneinu. Chumash yikasav b'siman taksa v'im shachach v'amar Anneinu koydem re'ena. V'im shachach, if he forgot and he said Anneinu in the wrong place. He said Anneinu before re'e v'anyenu. He said Baruch Hashem Goyal Yisrael. I'm sorry. He said Anneinu ha'ina b'yisara re'ena v'anyenu. Das the Maggid Ram d'tzarich lam Anneinu pamachas achar re'ena. The Maggid Ram says you got to say it again. Who asked you to say Anneinu before Re'ena? The Magen Avram explains, Sivkat and Zayin, that the brachos need to be kaseder. And if you say Anneinu and then Re'ena, it's not b'makoima. It has to be after Salach Lanu. You have to say, in other words, what's the problem here? You put Anneinu in the wrong place? No. The problem is not you put Anneinu in the wrong place. The problem is you put Re'ena in the wrong place. Re'ena has to be after Slachna. Re'ena cannot be after Anneinu. So the Magen Avram says you have to say it again. V'chein kasa b'derech hachayim. The Pri Megadim is not so sure about this. Why? The Pri Megadim explains that the suffix is the location of Anneinu dafka after Re'ena, therefore you have to say it again after Re'ena. Or do we say, look, you don't even have to say Anneinu. Anneinu is not choizer. So if Anneinu is not ma'akev, how could the location of Anneinu be ma'akev? Right? That sounds pretty logical. If you don't say it entirely, it's okay. So how could it be if you say it in the wrong place, then you have to daven again? But then the Magen Avram adds, maybe it's not the location of Anneinu that's ma'akev, but it's the Seder HaBrachos, and Re'eh has to be after Slach. And when you say Anneinu, you're making a hefsek. So it's not going to help. So now the problem is, well, if that's the problem, how is it going to help to say Anneinu after Re'ena? You still didn't say Re'ena in the right place. In other words, the Magen Avram says, well, say Anneinu again. Well, that's not going to do anything, because the problem was not that you didn't say Anneinu in the right place. The problem was that you didn't say Re'ena in the right place, because you were mafsik between it and Slachna. So the Pri Megadim says he doesn't understand the Magen Avram. Miman Avshach. If the issue is that you didn't say Re'ena in the right place because you were mafsik between Re'ena and Anneinu, so then it's not going to help to say it again. Elamai, you didn't put Anneinu in the right place, but if you don't even have to say it, then why would it be ma'akev to say it in the right place? So I don't understand that. Maybe you don't have to say it, but l'chatchila you do have to say it, and the place to say it is after Re'ena v'anyenu. So say it after Re'ena. I think I understand the Magen Avram. In other words, the Magen Avraham is saying, let's say I didn't say Anneinu in the right spot. Maybe I have to say it again. Anyway, if a Sefer Magen Avraham Herich B'Zeh Masik Dina Gamken Dein Lachs Olam Anneinu Pamacheres, the Magen Avraham says maybe you don't say Anneinu again. V'Em Yirtze Yomer B'Shamei Tefillah Ki Yachid, and if you want, you could say it in Shamei Tefillah like a Yachid. Anneinu B'Shamei Tefillah Hu Hadin Imloi Hayu Asara. Let's say the same din would be if you don't have 10 people Hamasanim B'Beis HaKnesses. Ubo achar berchas rufa'ino. Like this. Let's say you don't have 10 people fasting in the shul. From here we see, if you don't have 10 people fasting, you don't say Anneinu as a separate bracha. The Shulchan Aruch says this later on. Now there's a question whether this applies to the Tainas Tzibbur, that it's kavua. So what's the case over here? Let's say you didn't have 10 people fasting in the Beis HaKnesses. Ubo achar berchas rafa'inu, and then they come after berchas rafa'inu. Yoimar b'shamei tefillah ki yachid. Then the Shatz says it in shamei tefillah like a yachid. And what if you didn't have 10 people? Then the Shliach Tzibbur, I guess, wouldn't say it in Shamei Tefillah either. V'im hischil hashliach Tzibbur l'spal b'koram v'oz v'hoyu oz Beis HaKnesses sar shemasanin v'achach holchem ktzasim kadam shizchah shel sir Anneinu. Let's say when the Chazan started davening Chazar Sashatz, you had 10 people were fasting, and they left before Anneinu. Lo yoimer Anneinu, he should not say Anneinu. I would have said he should say Anneinu. Usually it goes by the beginning of the subject matter. If in the beginning of the subject matter you had the requisite Shiur, actually I don't understand why you wouldn't say Anneinu. Because right now you don't have 10 people fasting. It does. Why would it go by now? Doesn't it go by when you start Shemana Esrei? V'toiv sheyomer oz b'shamei tefillah. But the Mishnah says, "Kvar hischel Anneinu v'yatzu goymer." If you already started Anneinu, then it's grandfathered in. But if you just started Shemana Esrei, it's not grandfathered in. I wouldn't have thought this. In fact, I don't really understand it. Why would Anneinu not be like any other? In other words, let's say the Chazan starts Chazar Sashatz with a minyan and he doesn't have a minyan. Could he finish? Of course he could finish. So if he's allowed to finish, because it goes by the Haskalah, then why would Anneinu be any different? Because you don't have 10 people fasting, it doesn't. So what are you going to say? Anneinu is a davar b'fnei atzmai? No, it's not. It's part of Shemana Esrei. What?
You can't say
why not? There's a din. You need 10 people to say the word anachnu.
Apparently.
No, there's no such din that you need a minyan to say the word anachnu. Watch, anachnu. See, I did it.
If nobody's fasting, you say Anneinu?
If nobody's fasting, of course. You want to know?
Sometimes you say sometimes he's saying nobody's fasting, or it is. I don't know. It seems what he's saying.
Saying if let's say when he was saying the word Anneinu, he said Anneinu, you had 10 people fasting, and then they walked out. He finishes it, right? But you can't say Anachnu. You can't say it sometimes. No, the answer is you're grandfathered in. So the halachas of grandfathered in, we know, go by the beginning of Shemana Esrei. No? Ki Yachid. You say it in Shemana Esrei Ki Yachid. Ayim b'derech hachaim shapoisek de lo yachtemenu bevracha rak b'shemea tefillah kishar Yachid ba'alma. What's the case? Shliach Tzibbur did not say Anneinu, so he sticks it into Shemei Tefillah. So the Derech HaChaim is saying, you don't say Baruch Atah Hashem Ha'ina Be'ez Sarah, just he answered Baruch Atah Hashem Shemei Tefillah like any Yachid. V'chei nachayin de b'zeh yatzul kol alma ayin b'magen Avraham. V'im shachach gam b'Shemei Tefillah. let's say the Chazan forgot even in Shemei Tefillah, afilu nizkar kodem she'eschol ratzei, shuv lo yoimer, then he shouldn't say it, elo yoimrena achar she'isalim basholom kodem eloi kainatzar. Uveloi chasima. This is very interesting. Who forgot Shemei Tefillah, a Yachid or the Chazan? Because the Chazan doesn't say like Kainatzar. Why is he talking about a Yachid over here? Maybe even the Chazan says it after. In other words, what's the halacha if you forget Anneinu on a fast day? Could you say it at the end of Shemona Esrei? So here the Mishnah Berura is saying, you say after you say the word Bashalom before Elai Kainatzar. Page 34, number 28. And you say it before Yulu Ratzain. By the way, the Derech HaChaim paskins that even if you don't have 10 people fasting, the Shatz always says Anneinu b'Shemei Tefillah. So, in this case, if let's say you didn't have 10 people fasting in the Beis HaKnesses, what would the halacha be if you don't have a minyan fasting? Then the Shatz doesn't even say it in Shemei Tefillah. L'maisa, the Derech HaChaim holds you always say it in Shemei Tefillah. The Shari Tshuva paskins you don't say it in Shemei Tefillah. So the Shar Tzion points out the din that if you didn't have Asar Masanin and then after Rafa'inu you have Asar Masanin, is even according to the Shari Tshuva that you don't usually say b'Shemei Tefillah. When you don't have a Asar Masanin, he would be Moida here. But certainly the Derech HaChaim, who says l'charchila, that if you don't have 10 people fasting, you still say it in Shemei Tefillah. Which, by the way, I think you could ask on that as well. If when you started the Shemona Esrei, you didn't have 10 people fasting, how could you just in the middle of change courses and inject it into Shemei Tefillah? It doesn't go by the beginning of Shemona Esrei, it goes by Ba'asher Husham. Why do Dinei, all the other halachas of Tefillah go by the beginning? And when it comes to Dinei Anneinu, it goes by Ba'asher Husham. It's very interesting. Okay, let's begin Siman Kuf Chaf, should we? We'll start it. You know what? We won't start it. Okay, we're going to hold it over here. We'll start with Kuf Chaf on Monday, Be'ezus Hashem. Yeah, maybe somebody could think about why does the din of Anneinu, why is it not grandfathered in? That if when you started Shemona Esrei, you had 10 people fasting, and then some of them left, you should not say Anneinu. You're allowed to say Kedusha, no? You're allowed to say Kedusha. Yeah, why? I had it. But now I don't have it. No, I grandfathered in. So fasting is different? Okay, Rabbi, say have a good Shabbos, okay? Kol tov, everyone. Bracha v'atzlacha.
Recording stopped.
Looks like the difference.